Well, squatters, salutation. I hope everyone is good there. More 3.2 billion has been pumped into the defense force to the DRC mission. Actually, the more people cry, the more people complain about this whole issue of Cyril Ramaphosa deploying our military force there. And we know now, at least by now, that it's not a peacekeeping mission. It's an offensive mission. And now he still continues to pump more money into that useless mission. I'm sorry to say so, but I think we are having a president that, just like any other many African presidents, who doesn't listen to his people, who doesn't answer the calls, for his people to submit to certain things which are exposing our country into a high risk. And at the same time, if you rewind back, I was listening to people when I spoke about Julius Malema to be careful when he speaks or he actually addresses other African presidents, and not to point fingers to them and all of that. And I even explained that in the issue of the Rwandan president Paul Kagame, for him to actually issue that statement, he even made it clear that we'll see what Ramaphosa is threatening to do and all of that. That man was actually speaking in retaliation. He was responding to what actually our president Cyril Ramaphosa said about him. He didn't actually start this thing. And now Julius Malema came afterwards saying we are ready for war and all of those things, which are, to me, reckless statements. You see, squatters, we need to compliment when it's true and we need to criticize when it's true. I don't think that was diplomatic, and I think Julius Malema actually stepped on Paul Kagame's toes, and he really needed not to do that. But anyway, our politicians, they sometimes misbehave. And before making a lot of noise about issues, why don't we try to diagnose the problem? As much as our president doesn't want to listen to us, he continues to pump 3.2 billion while we have a youth, esquara camp, abangaspani, abantu qualifications and all of that. They are not working and they are stranded and there are no opportunities. I feel more like in South Africa, there's a whole lot of money. We have all the resources, but we don't know how to utilize those resources. I don't know, maybe someone can say something otherwise to convince me otherwise. But at where I'm standing now, where I'm sitting now, where I am now, I feel like we don't know how to actually utilize our resources. Because why would you take 3.2 billion, pump it into such a useless exercise? And it's not some kind of investment where you're gonna get the benefits and all of that. It's him and his friend Tshisekedi trying to protect their personal interests. By the way, the M23 rebels have also captured another airport. You see, squatters, a revolution doesn't start in a day. And people, when you lead them, you abuse them, just like what the ANC has been doing to us. At some point, South African citizens, they will get tired, they will get fed up, and there can be a military coup or a revolution which goes on for some days, and people, unfortunately, the poor people are the ones who are going to die in this whole thing. They are going to be victims. And by the way, we compliment the Defense Force and the President for bringing those bodies back to South Africa, the fallen soldiers. But my concern is that I still continue to question, what about the soldiers who are captured by the M23 rebels? And the more he deploys more soldiers and more resources, it's a declaration of war. And we might find ourselves, having more of our soldiers dying there in the DRC. Those people are highly trained, they are sponsored, and for the fact that the Ugandan president and the Rwandan president, Kagame and Museveni, they are blamed to, or they are prime suspects to be sponsoring these wars and everything. Let them focus on the issue itself, not, I don't understand when something happens and you want to blame other people for your own mistakes. Why don't you correct your mistake? As President Tshisekedi, why don't you listen to those people, sit down, have a talk? Because responding with a military force will not help them either. It is going to perpetuate war, and that's when the Western countries will come and steal the mineral resources from our African continent. Because Africa on its own, it's rich, by the way. I think after Asia, we are the second, somewhere the African continent. The whole of Africa is rich with minerals and everything. So our presidents, they focus more on their personal self-enrichment more than the people that they lead. But mabefuna mavote, they come to us and want us to vote for them. They expect us to vote for them as poor people who are just treated as voting kettles, for him to deploy more resources, more soldiers, and more funding. It sends a message to the M23 rebels that, listen, this is war. And if the sponsor is looking at what Cyril Ramaphosa is doing, they will actually also beef up their security. They will beef up their ammunitions, arms, and military personnel to counter the resources that we have actually sent to the DRC. This is the most useless exercise. A lot of money is just being splashed, for nothing, and people are protecting their personal interest. And I remember when President Paul Kagame of the Rwanda said, I tried to engage these two men who are greedy and they focused on their personal interest than the interest of the people, which is a fact that why there's a problem in the DRC, why there's M23, what is it that they can't resolve? Because those people there, they are saying they are protecting their resources, and which is sending a clear message that those people are citizens of the country, they are Congolese. So it doesn't really make sense. Politicians sometimes, they can be dirty. They can really, really be dirty. And to an extent that you don't understand, why are they doing this? If we're talking about our president, Cyril Ramaphosa, he has got money. Why is he continuing to do this? We know that he set up the people in Marikana. There was Marikana massacre. He benefited millions and millions there from Marikana, the Lone Min mine. And so now he still continues to want to benefit. What is it? I mean, how much do you want to have in your bank account so that it becomes enough and now you start working for the people? Because being a president, it's really a calling, according to me, because you are not there for yourself, but you are there for the people. But all these presidents, when they came in, I think something twisted their minds. You can talk about from Thabo Mbeki, he started also to have his own interest and started to privatize things, showing comrades how to steal money through privatization, outsourcing everything and all of that. Now came Zuma. Zuma also continued with the bailout and everything. SAA was collapsing under Tutumyeni, his favorite minister, and everything collapsed. They stole a lot of money, by the way, during that era. And even now, when MKP says they are representing people, they will come back and they will do better. I don't know what is it that they can do. When President Zuma was there, they couldn't even lift a finger. And if you look at most of those comrades who are there at the MKP, Bumzwane Lemani, Dr. John Hlophe is not a politician, by the way. Sometimes hunger will push you to do many things, hoping that at least you can hit a target. You will throw many stones, hoping that at least one stone hits a target. Dr. Klope is just a judge. He should focus on academia and all of that and retire anyway because he's too old for politics. I don't know what is it that we can expect as youth, because Tina, as youth we are militant. We expect things to happen and to happen at a very reasonable pace. So if things are not happening, we get so much worried, we get frustrated. Amajita are confused, are frustrated, squatter camp, and then qualifications, they can't even go by your geles. And even this year we have got matriculants who passed extensively well with distinctions and everything, but they can't go to varsity because they don't have money. Why can't they make education free so that everyone have got access into the education system? You can go to varsity, you can study, at least for studying it should be free, because I believe education is very important. But who are we to say, who are we to question that? Because even institutions like Unisa, they are no longer credible. Unisa has become one of those useless institutions that is no longer credible. And what I heard there is that it's alleged that they are selling spaces there for people, for students. If you want to be a student in Unisa, you will apply, they will keep on declining you because you are not paying bribe. You need to pay bribe so that they can recruit you, so they can, well, no matter you qualify, even if you qualify, they will not take you. They will make such a lame excuse or something just for you not to get there. A lot of students are buying spaces there at Unisa. I think someone must pay attention to that institution because it is becoming a joke now. It's no longer a secret, by the way. There was this other episode, I'll remember the name of the lady. She mentioned it and she has got all the evidence against them. And they kept quiet because they know that they are doing corruption there. It's so sad that as black people, we wanted this democracy. And after getting it, it looks more like we didn't know what to do with it. We just wanted it, just to have it and mess up with other people's lives. Because whatever corruption that happens, it messes up with people's lives. We've got capable students who deserve to go and study and become better people. They give up, they lose hope at the squatter camps, and they end up becoming criminals. And this is what our government wants. They want you to become criminal so that they arrest you, so that you end up in prison because you are a black person. They still don't think. Their mentality is still trapped in those apartheid mentality kind of. You look at how they treat black people versus how they treat white people. If there's racism in white school, they will just, wear their suits and ties and be formal and say, hey, we are here, we had this, and check when there's a problem there at township schools. They come with a very horrible and disrespectful attitude. They harass teachers there and they do all of that. So it's so sad, man. If you want to apply today to the Defense Force or to SABS or to JMPD or EMPD or any other metro police, there's a lot of corruption. People are hiring their families, and we shouldn't really be scared to talk about these things. So it's because you know no one there. If you know someone there, yes, they can plug you. Or for them to hire you, you need to give them 5,000. Where will someone be able to pay 5,000 when they are unemployed? I mean, these are our fellow black people who happens to be in power, who happens to be human resource managers and at those senior positions, recruitment offices, training departments, and they are doing all that corruption. People, I want to tell you something, squatters. I hate corruption because corruption, impacts on people's life. And I've seen it. I've seen it with my naked eye. When someone who was promising, who was, then now they start to lose hope. Now they start to feel despondent. Now you meet this person 2 or 3 years later, they have lost hope. They've become criminals and they just don't care. Some of them end up in prison and all of that. It's because of these corrupt politicians. So the military, they deployed more resources, more money injected there, but the youth here in South Africa are stagnant. They don't know what to do. They can't even help them start businesses and all of that. It's so worrisome. Let me tell you something, squatters. You will not see this thing now. As much as we are talking about these things, a lot of people are comfortable. A lot of people will say we're talking crap. But give it 5-10 years to come. I'm telling you, South Africa will be a joke. That's a fact. It will be a joke. And we cannot rely on people like Gayton McKenzie that they can save this country. Patriotic Alliance. When we have Kenny Kunene who recklessly talks some crap on Twitter every day and goes to Cabana there and spend 100,000 and say they are fighting for people, or have Julius Malema who wears Louis Vuitton and all of that to say they're going to save us. There's nothing like that. Or have Jacob Zuma with his MKP that they're going to save us. They won't save us because they were there. We saw what they did. The Guptas will come back and corruption will start from scratch now. From scratch. If MKP comes into power. By the way, we need to sober up as citizens and know exactly what we want, because what we are doing now, it's actually something which doesn't really make sense. I don't know where we are going. And if you look at the ANC is dying a natural death because they themselves, they have also had their fair share of messing up, of being corrupt. We've got former presidents who are sitting comfortable, still having convoys, still earning that salary, presidential salary, with bodyguards and everything. And if you want to look at exactly how cruel these politicians are, especially the former presidents, you look at Mandela. Mandela, where he's coming from in his village, there's still no tar road. There are still no schools, no clinics, nothing, no service. You look at Thabo Mbeki also the same. You know, where he's coming from the village, where he grew up, where he's coming from there's no tar road, there are no clinics, there's no service. So if you look at Zuma also, Nkandla is also a rural area. It's only his house and the tar road to his house and all of those. Then you start to wonder that, are they really representing us, these politicians? Or they are there just to push time, to buy time at the expense of us, keeping us poor, and them continue to have access to the public purse and steal and steal and steal and steal. If institutions like Unisa can sell spaces to deserving students, undeserving students, and while deserving students are sitting at home, they can't find spaces and all of that because they can't pay bribe. I don't know what is it with South Africa that everything that you want, you must pay bribe. Everything you want, it's like you are paying to live in South Africa. You pay rent, you pay levies, you buy electricity, you buy water, you buy your space into university, you pay the fees. So they are making everything almost impossible for us as black South Africans. But at the same time, let them continue to do that. A revolution is coming. When the revolution comes, when that youth there at the squatter camps, Abu Sisbe too, and all of those people, when they now start to rise, no one will block them. No one will stop them because now they are sitting comfortable. You are a chancellor there at Unisa and you are pushing corruption. You know what they do at Unisa? By the way, I'm so obsessed with this because I know someone that has also mentioned this many times, and I've started to observe that, oh, is this what they do? And when you go there, you inquire that, why didn't you actually admit me? They will make a lame excuse and they will say the system doesn't accept you. Now I must talk to the system now. People can't help me if I'm a student, I want to go there. Now I must talk to the system. I asked the guy, do you really have to talk to the system? Where was the system then? He said, no, the system they are talking about, I don't know, Uti, how does the system select students and all of that? I don't understand, but there's a problem at Unisa, and I believe someone will pay attention to that. And if institutions like Unisa can be corrupt, what is the point of having a qualification there? Is it going to be credible? Because the international academies, they are looking at us. And these politicians, their kids don't go there to these local universities. They go overseas. London and all of that, Harvard University, they send their kids there. Why? Because they know that our education system is messed up. I don't know. Maybe something could be done. By the way, M23 rebels have taken the second airport they have captured it and they are in control there. Our soldiers are still stagnant in the camps. They are captured. They've actually become prisoners of war, by the way. That's the correct term in the military language. So they can't move, they can't nyagaza, they can't go anywhere, and I believe there's a price to pay for them to be released. I wonder how is our president and also his friend feeling, because now we are where we are now because of them. I don't know, squatters. Put your opinions. You're welcome. Let's keep engaging. Maybe you can convince me otherwise. I'm just being naive, or I'm just, expecting a lot from the government. I don't know. But the youth, what do we do with the youth that is stuck there? Emakasana. Abakwazi ukuthi bathole ipani, amachita bayakhuzuka, kunzima left, right and center. Sibona amachita balahlekelwa ama-hopes and become criminals. What do we do with those people there? The young kids. Tina Senandaba. Tina, we are not begging them anymore. We are just telling them, guys, you need to get this country in a good shape, because this is not enough. I don't know, squatters. Shut.